Picture this, you're a young, ambitious general, barely out of your 20s, and you've just pulled off the impossible, a military coup that catapults you into the seat of power. You're not just playing the game, you're rewriting the rules. Sounds like something out of a blockbuster movie, right? But this isn't fiction. This is the extraordinary story of Napoleon Bonaparte, a masterclass in political power and intrigue. So, if you've ever wondered how an obscure Corsican could rise to command an empire, shatter kingdoms, and, let's not forget, introduce the modern legal code, then you're in for a treat. Stick around to unravel the complex tapestry of a man who still stirs debate, 2 centuries later. Ah, the French Revolution. Can you hear it? The resounding cry of liberté, égalité, fraternité, as it echoes through the smoggy streets of Paris. A time so electric, you could feel the energy crackling in the air. A time when Madame Guillotine was the undisputed queen of public affairs, dropping jaws and heads alike. The old social fabric wasn't just being torn apart, it was being shredded, incinerated, and then blown away by the winds of change. Trust me, the term revolutionary wasn't coined lightly. This was social upheaval on steroids. Enter Napoleon Bonaparte, stage left, or should I say, from the revolutionary left. No crown, no imperial robe yet, just the uniform of a committed Jacobin. In case you're wondering, the Jacobins were the radicals of the day, sort of like the hardcore leftists who wanted to not just reform France but set it ablaze with revolutionary fervor. Napoleon was one of them, a true believer, a firebrand, supporting the most radical elements of the revolution. He even penned pamphlets calling for the end of monarchy and the dawn of a new republican era. Yes, he was an intellectual agitator before taking up arms. I told you, this guy was not messing around. But let's talk about his killer instinct, his eagle eye for spotting opportunity. Amid the swirling chaos, as France was wrestling with internal factionalism, economic crises, and external invasions, Napoleon saw something that few others did, a vacuum of power that was just begging, pleading to be filled. It was as if destiny herself had sent him an engraved invitation to come and seize the reins of history. Fast forward a bit, and here's our man Napoleon, leading an army into Italy, clashing with Austrians, and winning battles. But it wasn't just his military prowess that made him stand out, it was his ability to win the hearts and minds of those he conquered. While spreading the ideals of the French Revolution, freedom, equality, and a sense of brotherhood, he was laying the groundwork for his own future rule. He wasn't just a general, he was a brand, a symbol of French exceptionalism, an emblem of what the revolution could achieve when steered by audacity and genius. In a France desperate for stability, desperate for victories, desperate for a hero, Napoleon emerged as the man of the hour. In the frenetic theater of the French Revolution, Napoleon was both the leading actor and the playwright, drafting a script that would eventually, and perhaps inevitably, cast him as the emperor. We'll get to that imperial plot twist soon enough. For now, just revel in the irony. The man who would become an autocrat first cut his teeth as a fervent revolutionary. In the great drama of history, few characters are as complex, as compelling, and as paradoxical as Napoleon Bonaparte. And here's where things get absolutely delicious. You might be thinking, so what? He was a military hero in an age when swords and cannons ruled. Big deal. But listen, this is where the Napoleon masterclass truly begins, and the man graduates from being a tactician to a strategist of human emotions and perceptions. He understands, possibly even before anyone else in his era, the unquantifiable power of public image. Imagine this, Napoleon has painters crafting stunning portraits where he's depicted not just as a general, but as a savior, a deity even. He's not shown cramped in battle, drenched in mud and blood. No, he's standing tall, hand tucked into his vest in a pose that becomes iconic, embodying wisdom and grandeur. It's like having a PR agency in an era when the concept doesn't even exist. Napoleon grasps the intangible magic of optics, long before it becomes a buzzword. And oh, the poets. They're singing paeans to his glory, creating a Napoleon who's not just flesh and bones, but an idea. A concept of invincibility and French valor that people can rally behind. This man isn't just in the business of conquering lands, he's in the realm of conquering hearts and minds, a real estate far more valuable. Let's talk about newspapers, the social media of the 19th century. Napoleon cleverly manipulates the press. Critics are silenced or co-opted, while those who sing his praises find their inkwells perpetually full. His victories are grandiose epics, his defeats, if mentioned at all, are but minor setbacks in a greater cosmic plan. It's masterful narrative control, curating the very reality that the French public consumes daily. And get this, when he's not on the battlefield, he's personally reviewing and approving textbooks that speak of a France that's the epitome of enlightenment and progress. His vision seeps into education, turning the next generation into loyalists, before they can even spell the word loyalty. It's a long-term investment in the most ingenious way. So you see, Napoleon is not just an influencer, he's a brand architect, a narrative designer, a perception molder. In modern terms, he's the CEO, the PR department, and the marketing manager all rolled into one, only instead of peddling skincare products, luxury watches, or detox teas, he's selling an idea that's far more potent, the dream of a stable, powerful, and gloriously French, France. Is it audacious? Absolutely. Is it genius? Without a shadow of a doubt. And that, my friends, is the enthralling brilliance of this masterclass. Napoleon understood that before you can rule the land, you must first capture the imagination. It's a playbook that many have tried to emulate but few have mastered. Because, at the end of the day, empires crumble, but ideas? Ideas are immortal. And Napoleon was, if nothing else, a breathtakingly audacious idea. Prepare yourself, for here comes the twist in our story, an astonishing paradox that would make even a Greek philosopher scratch his beard in confusion. See, Napoleon wasn't content with just making France an oasis of power and stability. No, he had an insatiable appetite, and he set his eyes on a smorgasbord of European territories, and not just Europe, mind you. His gaze pierced across the Mediterranean into Egypt and even flirted with the tantalizing prospects in the Americas. Our man is not on a mere conquest, he's conducting a world tour of imperial ambition. It's like binge watching, only instead of episodes, he's binging on countries. But hold on, the plot thickens. Napoleon isn't just annexing these territories in some Neanderthal show of brute force. He's far too clever for that. He's a culinary artist, sprinkling dashes of French culture and Enlightenment ideals like salt and pepper on a delectable dish. He implements legal reforms, encourages the sciences, and even allows religious freedom to some extent, showing a stroke of what can only be called enlightened despotism. He's basically hosting a cultural exchange program but with bayonets and cannons as added accessories. And the result? These territories become more French than even the finest Bordeaux wine. You see, it's not just that Napoleon is taking over, he's transforming these lands from the inside. He doesn't just want to rule people, he wants them to adopt the Napoleonic way. It's as if he's franchising his brand of governance, making each captured territory a new chain in the Bonaparte enterprises. It's imperial ambition turned into an art form, an empire building unlike anything Europe had seen before. And here comes the grand finale, the pièce de résistance, if you will. While gallivanting across continents, while becoming a cultural impresario and military mastermind, something phenomenally subtle yet seismic is happening in the backdrop. Napoleon, the man who wore the mantle of revolutionary idealism, who spoke of liberty, fraternity, and equality, is donning a new costume, almost as if he's shape-shifting into an autocrat right before our eyes. How does he pull this off, you ask? Oh, through the alchemy of institutions and laws. Ladies and gentlemen, enter stage right, the Napoleonic Code. This isn't just any body of law, this is a legal symphony, a monument of civil governance. It guarantees property rights, simplifies the legal maze, and seems like the epitome of Enlightenment thought. But, here's the kicker, it's also a Trojan horse that consolidates unbelievable power in the hands of, guess who, Napoleon himself. The legislative bodies like the Council of State, the Senate, the Tribunate? Once powerful, they are now reduced to mere rubber stamps. The media? Neutered. The independence of regional authorities? Say adieu to that, my friends. While the public is enamored with their newfound legal protections and rights, Napoleon slides into the role of an autocrat, almost as smoothly as a masterful actor taking on a new role. Imagine it as a political sleight of hand of the highest order. One moment you're rooting for this champion of Republican ideals, and the next moment you're under the rule of an emperor with almost mystical levels of centralized power. Its governance transformed into a magic act, a Houdini-like escape from the shackles of revolutionary expectations into the iron grasp of autocratic reality. But now we're left grappling with the million-franc question: why? Why did Napoleon, the fiery revolutionary who championed the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, metamorphose into the very thing he once despised, an autocrat? The answer is a labyrinth as complex as the human psyche itself. Napoleon, you see, was a romantic and a realist rolled into one. He adored the revolution, and was smitten by its ideals, but his love affair didn't stop there. He was also infatuated with a vision of a grand, unshakable, and indomitable France. A France that he was convinced only he could deliver, as if he were a messiah preordained for this monumental task. Think about it. It's the ultimate philosophical wrestling match taking place in the arena of his mind. On one side, you have revolutionary ideals that are pure, alluring, utopian. On the other, you have the muddy, gritty realities of governance, stability, and the ceaseless machinations of power. For Napoleon, the choice becomes not just a matter of ideology but an existential question of destiny. Is it ambition? Oh, you bet. Is it arrogance? Likely. Or is it a profound, soul-deep conviction that he is France's chosen one? That's the elixir that fuels his transformation. The lines between liberator and dictator didn't just blur in the annals of history, they were smudged, twisted, and redrawn in the complex landscape of his own conscience. Pause with me for a moment here, take a breath, and let's dare to ask a question that history has often whispered but rarely shouted. Could anyone else have done it? Could anyone else have juggled the fragile orbs of military power, public sentiment, and international politics without dropping a single one? Your guess is as good as mine, but the likely answer is a resounding no. Napoleon was a rare alchemy of military prowess and political dexterity. Imagine a Beethoven symphony but with cannons and constitutions instead of cellos and clarinets. It's an intoxicating mix that France had never tasted before. No one else could have brewed this unique cocktail of power and populism, audacity and acumen. You see, Napoleon wasn't merely a product of his time, he was a maestro orchestrating it. He was like a virtuoso playing a Stradivarius, only the violin was France, and the composition was the 19th century geopolitical landscape. And that, my history aficionados, is the crux of this masterclass. This is not just a tale of a man, it's a multidimensional case study of the art of political seduction, the science of power dynamics, and the unfathomable complexities that come with it. Napoleon Bonaparte was not just a chapter in a history book, he was a course, a seminar, a lifelong lesson in the kaleidoscopic nature of human ambition, governance, and the often perilous journey from idealism to realism. If this dive into the depths of Napoleon's governance has intrigued you, stoked your curiosity, or simply entertained you, then don't forget to hit that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments section. And for more captivating stories from history, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell too. Remember, history isn't just about the past, it's a masterclass for the present. Thank you for being part of this historical journey. Until next time, keep the wheels of time turning.